in to At the Table. I'm Ken.
I'm Tabitha.
And we're excited about sharing with you tonight's topic. We're going to be talking about love, marriage, family, relationships, and all kinds of stuff. And so you want to let somebody that you know who is married or in a relationship, you want to let them know, because we're going to be talking about real love tonight. Yeah.
We're going retro.
We're going retro.
Yes.
Here we are, y'all. Please let me know what city you're tuning in from. Shout out your city real quickly and let me know where you are. Gainesville, Orlando, of course, in the house, Florida. Where are you? What nation are you in? It's going to be a good night tonight. We're going to drop some keys with you, for you that we hope it's just going to change your life. So, let's do this thing.
You should leave that song on. That's the jam, babe.
The Jiggy Jam.
Yeah.
Welcome, everybody. Who's on here tonight? Let's see who we got. Hey, Josh. What's up, Steven? So good to see y'all. Leslie. What's up, Mitch? Helen, how y'all doing? Gainesville, Florida. Aaron in the house. Pastor Aaron, love you, man. Tina, hey. CJ, Canada is here. Hey, Canada. Ronika Chapman, what's going on, girl? So glad you guys are tuning in tonight. And very quickly, in the comments, tell me, what's your relationship status? Are you married? Are you single? Are you single again? Are you engaged? Is it complicated? You know, I don't know what your situation is, but we hope to be able to speak to every situation tonight. And tonight's going to be a conversation. That's all it's going to be. Me and her, we're going to talk about our relationships. We're going to talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, everything in between. I would say tonight is probably PG-18 at least. Preferred those of you all who are married, but you know, whoever you are, I think that even if you're single right now or single again, we're going to share some information with you that can help if you ever get married, or you can also help somebody that you know is married and they're struggling right now. And so, anyway, sweetheart.
I love conversations like these because, you know, we've been married for the last 20 years and it's just good to hear people who have been there, done that. Like, I love to hear from like women who are older than me, women who have, you know, their children are off and in college. I love to listen to wisdom from them and just, it helps me. It gives me strength. And it gives me confidence, you know, and I just pull on those nuggets, pull on that wisdom. So I'm excited about this conversation.
Yeah. And if you make it 20 years, you can make it 40. So
you
even
really
if you've been married longer than us, hopefully we can share some things with you that'll be a blessing. We're not trying to be perfect. We're just trying to share with you some things that hopefully God can use in some kind of way to make our relationship better and your relationship better as well.
That's right.
And so we broken tonight into 3 categories, okay? Number 1 is before you say I do, okay? I don't know who that's for, but you're in the right place tonight. What to do before you say I do. Number 2, those of you all who are newly married. And number 3, the third section we're going to get to tonight is the 20-year marriage. And we're going to talk about not just, it's easy to get married, it's harder to stay married. And we need to give you some things that can give you some staying power.
That's a lot of information in 1 hour.
Yeah. Hey, we're going to give you what we can. We'll do this. We'll just break it up into like 10-minute segments, and then we'll do question and answer at the end. And so some of you all have already sent over some questions for tonight. If you have other questions, put them in the comments. We'll do our best to get to them towards the end. And I know you got questions about tonight, and I'm ready to jump in this thing. So I want to start. Let's tell our story a little bit.
Okay.
So we've been married for 20 years, and I always say it's been the best 19 years of my life. Now I need to fill in the space.
Why do you say that?
I want to fill in the space because I feel like I say that so much that it can almost be, you know, there's a lot to that. Why I say that is because when we first got married, here's where my problem was. I feel like I was probably very selfish, you know, very self-absorbed, meaning that it wasn't necessarily about we, it was about me. So at the time she had been diagnosed depressed for about 10 years at that point. And it was 2 years or so in our marriage, something like that. And I really felt like she wasn't motivated to go to class. We were still in college. She didn't want to get out of the bed. Yeah. And I've always been very ambitious, always had a goal, always had a plan, was going to go through college, be successful, be a millionaire, get into business, et cetera, et cetera. But I felt like I was dragging her along. And so from my perspective, I felt like she was someone that I had to try to bring along. So I didn't know if I wanted to continue to be married. Also, one of the reasons I say that is because I was immature. You know, I was 21 years old And God, I knew about God, but I didn't have an intimate relationship with him where I wanted to live my life based upon the principles from his word. And maybe that's you. You're a person that you believe that there's a higher being. You believe in God. You're a good person, but you don't live your life based upon the principles of his word. And so I wasn't there yet. So I didn't know how to be a husband. I couldn't even define what that was. You know, I didn't know that I needed to love my wife like Christ loved the church and gave himself for it. I really didn't have a deep thinking about how Christ gave himself for the church, for the church, so I could not apply it to my wife. And so the list would go on and on. I wasn't faithful, like in my heart. You know, in my heart, marriage wasn't something that was going to be like long time and forever. It was like if she got on my nerves too much or if something better came along, maybe I would just move on to the next best thing. So when we first got married, it wasn't like I had a mindset that this was till death does me part. It was like just another level of dating to me. I mean, I knew it was important, but it wasn't like my heart and my mind was settled that divorce was never an option. And that's why the first year of our marriage, I was just thinking, well, hey, if this ain't gonna work out, let's just move on. We young, let's move on. So I had so many things in my heart and in my mind that was twisted. And that's why I say, we've been married 20 years, but it's been the best 19 years of my life.
You know, that's so funny because when we were dating and when we got married, like I didn't know that about you. I was so in love with you. I didn't know that you were like, this was another level in a relationship.
Well, I didn't know.
You know, like, yeah. And so okay. And so, so when we got married, so it was hard for you and the relationship was hard for you. But for me, I was kind of oblivious to what you were going through in the relationship because I had my own issues. And this is, I think, a nugget for those of you who are not married yet, is that you married a project. You married someone that was messy. You married somebody that was going through counseling for depression. Yes, you married somebody that was depressed for 10 years. And, I'm not saying that you can't, marry people and work through things, but that was not a good idea, to marry someone who was...
Well, the truth is that everybody marries a project to some extent.
Exactly.
Because everybody's growing, and over 20 years, we've changed like 1,000 times.
Exactly.
And the key is to try to change together instead of change separately.
And we'll get to that
but
later.
But you made a big project.
Yeah, this
like,
was
there's some people, you marrying somebody that got issues.
You married somebody that was diagnosed with severe depression and anxiety disorder and was medicated.
But you was fine, and I loved you, and all that kind of stuff. And so that blinded me.
And that's where I was. I knew how to wear the mask well. But I was committed to getting better. I was committed to healing and, finding a way out. And I was committed to you. And I just have never been that kind of person that, like, if I get into something, I'm not going to get out of it easier.
Hey, and if it wasn't for that resolve, which you had that before we got married, we probably wouldn't be married today. That she's a loyal person and a faithful person. And, like, if we're in this, we're going to do this together.
We're going to do this.
And there got to be somebody in the relationship
that's
just like, we're going to stick together.
And that's where my struggle came in the beginning of our relationships. Because let's say for the first year I was depressed and I was still working out that depression. We started, we were on the broadcast on here last week with Dr. Mike and Didi. We started going to church and we used them as role models. And I used Dr. Didi as a role model, like, okay, this is how I need to be in my marriage. But anyway, before I could be a better wife, I had to be a better me. I had to break out of depression.
That's a word for somebody.
And so once I got healed of depression, that was a year into our marriage. Once I got healed of depression, then it got hard for me because I started coming to you, like my eyes were open, like this veil, the veil was moved, the scales from my eyes, and I'm looking at you like, why is he treating me like that? Why is he being so rude to me? Why does he not like me? He doesn't want to be around me. What is going on?
Now let's put some color to that so you can fully understand the picture. This was a lot of silent treatments. I don't know if you're doing that in your relationship, but please stop. This was a lot of shutting down for days at a time. Maybe don't talk 1, 2, 3 days.
Come home.
This was not come home.
Until late at night.
Leave out, not come back, not tell you where I'm going. This was
the cold shoulder.
Some of you all have different things in your relationship. You got the cussing at each other and the throwing stuff. That wasn't us. It was completely, what is it called? When you are aggressive, passive aggressive. It was more like, okay, you did this, now I'm going to take this away from you and I'm not going to talk to you, or I'm going to go out and do something different. And so that's kind of the color to add in that whole first year. And that, some of you all say, well, that was just a year, but that's a year that can destroy everything. A month can destroy things. 6 months can destroy things. And so, I don't know, I don't want to stay there. Was there anything else you want to share?
That's where we were. And, we had to get out of it and we fought out of it.
And so we're going to take you through a journey tonight. That's where we were. But then we want to talk about the middle, and we want to talk about where we are now, and maybe even where we're wanting to go. So please, if you have questions about marriage, relationship, put it down. Yeah. Don't be afraid. Don't be ashamed. This is like a huge family meeting tonight. If you're a part of our fam, you're a part of a live church, whoever you are, if you follow us on Instagram, you are part of our family. And we just want to share our lives with you to make your relationships and marriages everything that God wants it to be, and put the devil underneath your feet, because he's the one that hates your family. He hates your marriage. He hates it. He wants to destroy the fiber, redefine the family. We won't let it happen.
Come on.
All right? And so we've broken these things into 3 stages, because we could get into a lot of things. You know, I wasn't faithful to her in my heart and in my mind. Now, I never had like sexual intercourse. I had a whole bunch of other stuff that could lead to there. But actually, the first year of our marriage, we were still in college, and my friends got the bright idea that we were going to go to Cancun for spring break. And so she's depressed sitting at home. She's like, okay, you can do whatever you want to do. I'm like, hey, I'm going as a married man to Cancun with my other single friends. And bad idea.
If I was anywhere in my right mind, I would have been like, oh no, that is not happening. If I was anywhere in my right mind, that would not have happened.
I appreciated the space, the liberty, but at that point I haven't developed the fruit of faithfulness. Fruit has to be developed. And in every marriage, in every covenant relationship, even your relationship with your church, your relationship, your friendships, there has to be a faithful element to it, meaning that it needs to be tried and proved. I hadn't developed that fruit yet. So it was like, oh, well, I'm going to party over here and do this over here and, kiss this and touch this and do things like that. And all of those appetizers will lead to the main course if you don't put parameters around your life. Absolutely. And we can talk about that tonight if you want to, but we want to jump into these 3 segments. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
I love talking marriage. I don't know why. I just get up for it. At first,
people need it though.
Oh my God.
I love to listen to people talk about marriage.
Here's
Everyone
the thing.
needs
You know why? It's like your relationship, you never arrive. See, some of us think that because we've been married for a while, it's on cruise control. Like cruise control can easily be a wreck. Like you never arrive. You're growing from one level to another level. And the person that I was in the first year of our marriage wasn't who I was at year 5. Wasn't who I am at year 10, now who I am at year 20. And we have to continue to grow together so we can go together.
Yes.
I'm ready to give you some things tonight. So here's the 3 segments. You ready? All right. Holler at me on the comments if you're ready. Give me some hearts or something. Y'all talk back to me. All right. So 3 segments tonight. Before you say I do, to those of you all who are newly married and those of you all who want the 20-year marriage like we have. All right. Let's talk about before we say I do.
Before we say I do. I'm thinking this is when you're dating. This is when you're, first getting to know the person that you like. And I can think back to the days when I was in college and I look at the relationships that I was in, and I look at the relationships of my girlfriends and some dumb relationships that we got into. I think the thing that I did best when I met Ken was that I was so done with like people who I didn't want to date anyone that had like the big ego. I was in college at the time, so you had the football players, you had the frat guys, you had people that girls were throwing themselves at them. Like we would be, I wasn't saved at the time, so I'm in the club, I'm going to class, I'm doing whatever. But I couldn't stand when someone would just come up to me and just be like, what's up? Or like, what's your name? Like, at least smile, at least articulate yourself, know who you're stepping to, because I don't even carry myself like that,
And that, let me talk about that, because that was attractive to me. Some of you all are single and your fruit is too low hanging. It's like a guy likes a chase. Like when I saw her, I saw like a standard. I didn't see somebody that was going to be easy. I didn't see somebody that was just going to be, I was going to sleep with her tonight. I knew that this was going to be something that I was going to have to work for. And quality dudes like that. Yeah. We don't like it when it's, you got everything hanging out. I mean, your cleavage is on Instagram. Everybody sees everything that you got. And there's no surprise that's just between us. We all know what you got. Guys, if you want a quality man, cover up a little bit, you show a little something, still be sexy and fly, but also chaste, like the Bible says, and virtuous and stuff like that. You put that together, you can get somebody good.
But we made mistakes like wanting to be with, whether it was a girl or a guy, we made mistakes and wanted to be with the popular person. oh, everybody knows this person, and this person's popular, and this person's so talented, and this person has this kind of car or this kind of job or whatever. And I found that when you get with people just because of what they have or their Insta status or whatever, it's just the wrong thing to do.
Shallow.
It's shallow, back in the day, there were different girls and stuff like that. We would get with people because, they were from a certain city. Like, we wanted a roughneck. We wanted somebody that, you know what I mean? Like, please.
MC like,
that wouldn't give you the time of day. Somebody that doesn't return your phone call. Like, I don't have time for that, y'all.
That's why when we first met, we met and I said, my first line to her, best line ever, was, hey, what's your name? She didn't look at me. She didn't want to do nothing with guys. She was done.
I was done.
I said, hey, I seen you in church on Sunday. Now,
that's the only thing he could have said.
It was in a nightclub on Wednesday. It was her 22nd birthday. I was her birthday gift. Hey.
You were, babe.
But I didn't even know. Like, to me, it was no big deal that I'm just out hanging out. I'm young. And, I seen you in church. That was a true statement. So I wasn't, I didn't even know how to live right or what to do.
The Lord helped you out on that one, babe, even back then.
But I was going to say something about that, though. I forgot what I was going to say because you was talking about status and different things.
Well, somebody who wouldn't return a phone call.
Oh, so I called her the next day at 11. You know what I'm saying? I said, I'm not going to try. You know how people try to be cool
I was still
and like wait for a couple of days or something like that. I said, no, I'm calling you. Hey, it's Tabitha there. Hey, good morning. How are you? We met last night. And then I said, can I take you to dinner? Come on, 19-year-old player from the Himalaya. And so I was like, can I take you to dinner? And, she's been with me ever since. But before you say I do, the question you need to ask is, do I? Because I think so many times you are blinded by what we call infatuation. So the first part of your relationship is the infatuation stage, where your body is literally releasing happy endorphins, and you have what we call a butterfly feeling in your stomach, and I want you to know that goes away.
Bugs.
Okay? That is an emotion, but you don't base a lifelong relationship based upon the butterflies or the endorphins. You do it based upon the agape love of God, which is a biblical unconditional love that's not based upon the butterflies. And so the question that you have to ask when you find somebody that you're thinking about marrying is, do I? And you have to look for red flags. Because you want to look for red flags. Like, does this person come to church, or do you have to always ask them to come to church? Do they start serving, or did you have to walk them through growth track, get them on the dream team, because you're going to be pulling that person spiritually for the rest of your life?
Exactly.
Do they tithe automatically, or do they have all these excuses about their bills because they won't put God first in a very telling area that tells you the conditions of a person's heart? Are they faithful to other covenant relationships? How does he treat his mama? How does he treat his grandmother? Right. You can really look around, but what happens is you're so blinded by what you want, and I got somebody that you forget to really look for the red flags. What is the things that are like, Look, check people's credit. Have conversations, like, what's your financial plan? What do you want to do with your life? You want to make sure that your visions go together. One of a big mistake that single people make is you get married to somebody that they want to go this way and you want to go that way. You know good and well you've been called to the mission field, and you get somebody that ain't never been out of Florida, and you in all your life you feel suffocated because you didn't make sure that your visions line up. If you go to a church and you love your church and they come and can't stand your church, that's a red flag. Like, this is a place that I love, that I grow, and you don't like it. Maybe there's something about you that I just can't see right now.
Right. And I think also you have to be with the person long enough for them to go through something. Yeah. You have to be with them long enough to see a tragedy happen in their life, to see maybe the loss of a loved one, to see what happens if they lose their job or something goes wrong, because you'll see who they really are in those trying times.
You don't see, because what happens is that, especially with guys, so I can talk about me generally, not every guy, of course, but we know how to charm. And sometimes there are certain women who fall for charm and charisma more than look for character. And there is a lot of people that know how to charm their way into places that their character could never keep them. Right. And so you want to look for how does this person handle the loss of a job, the loss of a loved one, something bad happen, persecution, because then you'll see who they really are. Yeah. Anybody can be charming on the mountaintop. Oh yeah,
exactly.
Let's go to dinner.
But
open
you know
your door,
what you need?
put down roses, buy your flowers and candy. Yeah, but I want to know, are you going to be that way in like 20 years?
Exactly. And you know what I wish? I didn't know any of this when we were dating. But what I wish I had, and what everybody had while they was dating, was some type of accountability, some type of mentor, some type of person that they can go to, and so that you know your own weaknesses. And so, for example, if you're a person that you get into, you keep finding the wrong men, you keep finding the wrong women, and you get in a relationship and out of relationship.
Oh,
it's probably something with you, not those other people. There's something in you that's attracted to these kind of people, or these kind of people are coming to you. Yeah. So for me, I grew up in domestic violence, and statistics say that if your mama was domestically abused, that you'll be abused. I grew up in alcoholism, and statistics say if there was an alcoholic in your family, then you gonna be an alcoholic too. Well, that's exactly what I did. That's exactly what I fell into. At 14 years old, my first boyfriend that I had, it was a bad relationship. It was an abusive relationship. Yeah. And so it would have been great if I had someone. 14 is very, very young. I wish my daughter would at this point, you know what I mean? But Lord, I just thought about that. But I'm talking about 18, 19, 20s, 30s, 40s. We have to be able to know ourselves, know our background, know what we keep getting ourselves into, and break negative cycles.
We can stay on this forever. I'll give you a couple more. For you people, before you say I do, the physical part of your relationship is the easy part of your relationship. Married people, we're gonna get to you. I need to set the appetizer. I need to set this. The physical part is the easy. All your flesh know, I boy, you girl. Let's do this. Okay. The physical part. So if you are physical with each other, now God set the whole system that a man and a woman will leave mother and father, and the two will become one, and then the sexual part of your relationship is supposed to start after the consummation of a marriage. Okay. Matter of fact, I won't get into the history of it, but here's the thing. But if you want to have a relationship that's based upon the physical, I'm just so attracted to him and I don't know what to do, that's the easy part. Okay. And so what happens is that lust sometimes can take the place of love. And you think you're in love, but it's really lust, because you've introduced something that God didn't intend in this season. He intended it for this season, but now you're developing soul ties. My word for you is this, is that you're worth the wait.
Absolutely.
And that your sexual drive, you have authority over it, just like you have authority over everything in your mind and in your heart and in your body, but it just has to be exercised by you. Man of God, you're not going to blow up because you're not having sex and you're doing it God's way. God has created you, because even when you get into the marriage, there's going to have to be a level of discipline sexually, because now you're going to be with one person for the rest of your life. So you're going to have to exercise discipline in that season anyway. So you might as well begin that discipline in this season, because God's way is better than men's way. And so what happens is when you give yourself to somebody who has not paid the price for you, that's what we call discount. And here's the thing, you're worthy of the full price. You know, you don't go and just try to negotiate on a Bentley or a Mercedes. You know, you go try to negotiate something that's sitting on a used car lot. They want $5,000. You say, I give you $3,500. You don't go into the Bentleys, into the Mercedes. You just pay what it is that they want, they're asking for. And if you know your value, you know your worth, you will never give out discounts before people pay the price, which is called marriage. So I always say it this way, no ringy, no thingy. And it's a safe place for you so that you can enjoy this without bringing everybody else you've been with in that soul tie in with you. Like you said, this is a lot. We could break this up into every week, but I do want to move on. But the last point that I want you to hear in this one is that you need a model. And that's what you said. You need a relationship that you can go to and model your single relationship after, and your dating relationship after, somebody that you will be accountable to, that you will allow to speak into your blind spots. You need a model. Let's go to the second category. Y'all ready? Y'all enjoying this tonight? Come on, hearts. Let's go. Who's out there? What's up? All right, here we go. Let's talk to you who are newly married. Wisdom.
Newly married.
What you got?
Okay, so for newly married people, I think the most important thing is to develop good habits.
Okay.
To develop healthy habits from the beginning. Habits such as a healthy sex life. Habits such as family meetings, habits such as if you want to establish rules in your relationship, like no TV in the bedroom after a certain time, like no cell phones in the bedroom, you know, after a certain time. Certain things, maybe having dinner together. We have dinner together once a month, maybe a date night. These are things that you do.
You said we have dinner together once a month?
Or once a week. or every day, you know, whatever your plan is, whatever you want to set for yourselves going into your marriage.
What you're saying is that as a newly married people, I think you need to over communicate. Over communicate, because the truth is that you don't know each other yet a whole lot. And so what happens in a newly married couple is that your idiosyncrasies can get on each other's nerves. You have marriage, you have honeymoon, you got a good 60 days of the euphoria, but then you're on a decline. And now you start to notice, well, why you don't put the dishes up, and why you don't do this, and why you bring your cell phone here, and why you run out all the hot water, why you take showers so long. And so what you need are what we call family meetings, which is a point of contact every week or every other week. Right now, our family meetings are on every Tuesday except the second Tuesday at 10 o'clock, where we come in and we talk about sex, finances, calendars, kids, and we usually start our conversation off with, I started off with, how am I doing? What am I doing good? Where can I improve on? Because I already know I don't really want you speaking and telling me where I'm doing wrong. So let me start it off there because I'm uncomfortable. So I want to hit that first so you can tell me where I can improve. Now, when you over communicate, that's when you can talk about where are we going. You can talk about your budget. You can talk about those things. You have to talk deeply about sex. So when we were first married, we sat down with the pastor at our church that was like a sex specialist, and we just asked them tons of questions. See, some of you all are not humble enough to get blessed. You were just Googling stuff. No, you need to go to anointed people that are in your church that you see a fruit in their life and ask them, how are you doing what you're doing? And we sat down with a couple, Pastor Rick and Karen Wooten, and they taught us all kinds of things in the beginning of our marriage about how to have a hot, great sex life. And we've been working that thing for the last 19 years. So, but we had to have a bunch of difficult conversation, like, you like it like this, but not like that. You don't like it when I kiss you here.
Yeah, that's
like
not a comfortable conversation.
Those are uncomfortable conversations.
But the benefit pays off later on.
Yeah, because now you come to a place where I know exactly what she likes. She knows exactly what I like, because we've over communicated to the two have now become one. That's good stuff.
That's good. And so with newlyweds as well, the reason why I said, create just, some things that you want to do, create order in your marriage. Because what you don't want to do is you're going to become used to each other. You know what I mean? But you don't want to become used to each other. You don't want to become just roommates, where you're not impressing each other anymore, and you just so walking around the house the way you did a roommate.
That's easy.
Yeah, and so like with wives, I would say, most of you newlyweds don't have kids yet, so it's just like put on or even if you do have kids, close the door, put on your nice nightgown, your Vicky's Secrets. Do your hair, put some makeup on, guys. Don't come to bed dirty. Take a shower, edge up a little bit. Still try to impress each other. And those things really help when it comes to a marriage. And even being best friends with one another. It's not time when you first get married to just be hanging out with your boys or hanging out with your girls all the time. That's one thing that I did not do a whole lot of and have never done a whole lot of. I mean, I have girlfriends, but my best friend is Ken Clater.
I don't know how y'all married and you hanging out with your boys all the time.
Well, we hang out in couples.
I don't want to hang out with some bearded dudes and they smell like Old Spice. And you at home, I want to come home and hang out with you.
Baby.
I don't know what people are thinking. Like, why in the world would you get married and then because we're still like holding on to something from the past. Not saying don't have friendships.
Exactly.
Not saying don't have relationships.
Exactly.
But the number one relationship and friendship you should really have is with your spouse.
Right.
That's where intimacy is good.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's where you can communicate and over communicate, because when you're best friends with one another, it's easy.
But I feel like we need to talk about how to. So let's make it real practical. So how do you do that though?
How do you do what? Over communicate?
No, how do you start to build, because some here
build a life
so
together.
We have people that are watching
because you've been separate.
There's people that are watching that are blended families. They're single again, adult kids, small kids, mixes of kids. Some people who are challenged with intimacy. There's all kinds of things. So what I'm saying is practically, how through all of these different things do we remain this close? Or how do you build this friendship? And what if about the person is like, well, I really don't know my spouse. We don't talk, or they go to work all the time.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. How do I do
right.
that?
You have to spend time together. It's quality time, because a lot of us don't have time.
You have to intentionally make time
Yes.
to communicate.
Exactly.
You got to get
And
really
so,
good at talking.
and that's where it comes to like, okay, family dinners.
Yeah.
Okay, if you're eating breakfast, lunch, and dinner away from each other all the time, when do you come together?
I don't know, babe, but some people are so good at family stuff, but they're horrible with marriage.
That's
they're
true.
better with their
Date
kids
nights.
than they are with marriage. So that's what
Go
I'm
on a
talking
date.
about, like specific date nights. So for 19 years, every Friday is our date night.
Mostly every Friday.
I would say 90% of the time is every Friday, unless there's Corona or less. You know, for real. I mean, like and watch this, and we get bored sometimes because we do the same thing every Friday, and we have to recreate this energy to make sure that we don't lose that spark. So you have date night. You have points of contact in the day. Maybe there's a phone call. Maybe there is breakfast together. Maybe there's pillow talk every night at 8 o'clock. You might need to set parameters. We're going to be in our room at 8 o'clock. Some of you all, you got your kids sleeping with you, and your kids, they stay up way too late. Look, I got my daughter about to be 15. At 8 o'clock, we're shutting down. You know, she might be up to 8:30, maybe 9 o'clock, but we have a whole culture where about 7 o'clock, you wind down. 8 o'clock, younger kids go to bed. The older kid, you're probably going to be in bed about 9 o'clock, you know, because we need to have a sanctuary. We need to have relational space. And one thing we've never done, and somebody needs to hear this, is that we have never, in the history of all children that we've had, 3 babies, 15-year-old is the oldest one, 15, 10, and 9. We've never let a kid sleep with us in our bed. Yeah. And I'm not saying that to be condemning on you. I'm saying that as a point of revelation. Like, how are we going to get close and Bobby right here? Like Lisa right here. Like, how are we going to do this? And Lisa right
Those
here.
kids try to take over. They will try to take over your marriage, your life.
They going to go and they going to get married and be getting them some. And I'm going to be stuck with her for the rest of my life. So I need to make sure that this is tight.
Exactly.
And I'm not going to let little Bobby, little Sue. So you say, what did you do? We had a bassinet by our bed for the first couple of weeks. Then we would put them in a room by themselves that had a camera or a sound machine. And we made our kids, you know how as a mother, you're like, oh, mercy, oh my God, my baby's crying. Let that kid cry. They're going to be all right.
Hey, that's where the Lord comes in. You pray the peace of God. You pray the angels of God to be around that baby. You trust in God to take care of your baby.
Listen, we got our kids so trained. We got the door cracked. We came in here tonight because we know this is mature content. We got them so trained that they knock on the door. Like nobody opens the door. Don't you dare open my door without first knocking. You don't know what you're going to find. So
we don't want to traumatize them.
Everybody knows. If you even start to come in, hold on, what you doing? Okay, no, you go back out there, knock. No, stay out there. You didn't knock first, so you don't get the privilege of coming in on the first knock. You know, this is training. This is like the army right here, y'all. And so everybody they respect. If they come in mom and dad's room, they're like, God, this is like
holy in that room.
It's like the Taj Mahal. I get to sit on the couch, like, you know. But I'm just saying that it's so important for you all to have a bed chambers where there's communication, which leads to great intimacy. God, that's good.
Yeah, it is.
So, hey, for those of you all who are newly married, family meetings are a must. Over communication is a must. I would say also for the how-tos, learning to adapt to each other. So she never liked basketball. She started to like basketball because I do.
That's right.
I never liked art, museums, stuff like that, but I do because she does. The two become one. And that's the reason why some people have friendships that are stronger than the marriage relationship is because, well, I don't want to do that. I don't want to golf. He golf all the time. Girl, you better get in that golf cart.
That's right.
I mean, my God. You know, he likes hockey. Well, you better start liking hockey.
We should have activities and things that we like to do together. That's why you like to hang out with your girlfriends or your guy friends and stuff, because y'all like to play basketball together.
Yeah,
y'all like to.
You enjoy each other.
And you love to watch basketball. And I was really a football kind of girl when we first met. But I learned to like basketball. Like I could really care less about LeBron, you know, it wasn't for you.
Right.
And it's something that I want to look forward to do with you that we can share together instead of you having to go find a guy friend to enjoy a basketball game.
The family unit is like this, guys. We are the Claytors. My job as a leader is to cast vision and then to motivate them to go towards a vision. It's like running a church or like running an organization. So as a leader, it takes great communication, family meetings. This is what I'm thinking. What are you thinking? So she's the neck. She gets to turn my head. There's not many times that she says, hey, I want to go here. And I'm like, no, I want to go here. Usually what I do is, how do you feel about this? You have wisdom in you. That's why I married you. And she says here. And I say, well, I don't know about this. And she says, well, this. And we'll meet somewhere. We never get stuck because I'm not just coming off, hauling off things. Just like as a lead pastor, I don't come to my staff and be like, this is what we doing. Say, how do you think about this? What do you think about this? How do you feel about this? This is what I believe the Lord's saying. What do you think about it? Now, as a leader of my home, I have to take that intel and then I have to make a decision. God help the president, because all he can do is trust everybody around him, and he's going to make a decision that 40% of the nation is going to hate. That's leadership. So what you do as a husband is you hear the intel, and then you get the whole team to buy in. So my kids all like LeBron. Everybody likes basketball because she's running the play adapt to what our family is about. Hannah runs track. We all run track. Why? Because we don't want to be running around town like Uber drivers, dropping kids off everywhere. It's just like, we're going to find one thing that we're going to do, and we're going to try to do it well, and we're all going to buy into that.
Right.
So anyway, my last one for those of you all who are newly married is, you need a model.
Yes.
You heard that one before, right? You won't hear it again, because you need somebody that is a little bit further along in your marriage. You've been married for a year, find somebody who's been married 10 years. You've been married 3 years, find somebody who's been married 15 years. And you need someone that you will be transparent, hot, honest, open, and transparent with. This is what's happening with us sexually. This is what's happening with us financially. What do you think? What did you do? What are the things you've done to be married 10 years, 15 years, 45 years, 55 years? Can I buy you coffee? Would you please can I call you every other month or so? I don't want to bug you. I need what you have on your life. You have some fruit in your life. All I'm saying is that you need a model. Yeah. And so we had a couple who was at Spirit of Faith up in Maryland, and that we would just ask them stuff. Yeah. We wasn't needy after we got in the church. Before the church, we were wild. But after we got in the church, we just wanted to make sure that we had accountability all around us. You need a model. Yeah. And this is the last one, baby. The last category. Let's talk about the 20-year marriage.
20-year marriage.
Y'all ready for this one?
Come on.
So here's the thing. My hope for you who are newly married, want to be married, is that you'll get to 20 years. My hope for those of you all who are been married 25, 30, 40 years is that this will remind you and rekindle some things so that you can do it for another 20, and you can do it for another 20, and you can do it for another 20. Speak to me about the 20-year marriage.
Wow, 20 years. I just wanted to share a little bit about, some of the things that we've done to succeed for 20 years, to have longevity in our marriage, and it will take us another 20 years.
Can I stop you right there? I forgot to give you the number one thing for those of you all who are newly married. You got to build your whole relationship around God. That is the most important one. You have to build your entire family structure from the cornerstone of Jesus.
You mean not around your job,
not
your
around
career,
your job,
your education,
not around your kids, not around your mom and them, not around your goals, your ambitions, any of that. You have to build. If you want, because marriage is God's idea and it's a covenant thing. And if you want a marriage that's successful, build it from the foundation of Jesus. The best marriage advice I could ever give anybody is love God more than you love your spouse, and he will help you love your spouse. Now, you might say, how do I do that? We can talk about that later. But to me, I fell in love with Jesus. I wanted to live for him, be in his house, give towards him. Tithing was easy. I'm giving 20, 30% away. I want to serve in the house. Some of you all just need a fresh encounter with God to cause something to be shot up in your bones. So then I'm going to love his daughter. This is God's daughter. I'm going to love her. I'm going to honor her. I'm going to submit to her. We're going to figure this out. I'm going to be committed to her because how much I love God. If you get that there, everything else, everything. You're going to be able to build something that lasts. So back to the 20-year marriage. Sorry, I had to get that one.
No, that was good. That was good. And so I just wanted to talk about, what we do in conflict. Like, well, maybe we disagree, or maybe we're not seeing eye to eye, or maybe we're in an argument, and it's just like, oh, we might have been talking about this for 20 minutes, and I just really don't understand where you're coming from. I like to do what I call like the bird's eye view. I will kind of either, if it means me to like maybe leave, like, hold on, okay, let's take a break. Let me go pray. Let me go take a quiet moment or whatever. Sometimes it's in the midst of the situation where I will just kind of like leave myself and
where you think you going? I'm talking to you, girl.
You know?
That's how
it's kind of like just to the bird's eye view means to just kind of like to go up higher and to look on the situation from the bird's view. And so we can look down on the situation, and sometimes you need to step outside of yourself and look at your posture, look at your body language and how you're saying things, look at your spouse and what they're saying, and hear from a different perspective as if you were a fly on the wall observing the situation. And that perspective can, you know, sometimes just change everything. And it really helps me to understand, oh, that's what he's talking about. Even if I disagree, I can still understand where he's coming from. When you withdraw from the situation, sometimes you're in the heat of the moment and your spouse becomes your enemy. All of a sudden, they're confronting you about something, or they're just giving your opinion and they don't agree with you, and you feel attacked. It could be about something in your past, something in your childhood, but whatever they did, they pushed a button that you don't like. And you're just tripping in your mind, your emotions are going on. You got to step outside of the situation, look at it from a bird's eye view, and you'll be able to see, I think, correctly to be able to handle that situation.
Yeah, so good. I did like this because I don't want you to move.
I'm moving? Oh, okay. I thought you just like was giving me a hug or something. Oh.
Thank you so much. 20-year marriage. I would say to you, love is not a feeling. Love is not a feeling. And so love is a choice, and love is an agreement, and it's a commitment. And I almost felt like I wanted to go to 1 Corinthians chapter 13 and redefine and re-talk about what love is. Maybe I'll read that. Maybe you can read that later on. 1 Corinthians chapter 13. And it says that love is patient, love is kind, love keeps no account of the wrong done to it. Love is this, love is that. Because sometimes what happens through the course of your marriage is that your feelings might change. Yeah. And what people say is that we are growing out of love. And the truth is, or we're falling out of love. And the truth is that falling denotes an accident. You didn't really fall in love, you grew in love. You're not going to fall out of love, you're going to grow out of love. And so I think it's so important to let people who want a longevity in their marriage to let you know that feelings are going to go up and down. And so the feelings that I had when we first got married were hot, and they were passionate, and they were all this. Year 5, they were different before kids. It was like she had a lot more time to just focus on me. Feelings changed when we added a baby. Feelings change when you add a teenager. Feelings will change when your kids leave your house. Feelings will change, but your commitment can't. And so sometimes we allow our feelings to dictate our choices. Well, I feel like we're just not, I can have someone better, you know, or you can work on your current relationship and get it back to the winner's circle. And so that's what I would say is that feelings love is a choice, and every day you have to choose that I'm going to love this person and I'm going to build what we have.
Yes.
Because the tactic of the enemy is to convince you that it's just better, the grass is greener on the other side. The person at your workplace that's flirting with you, they know you better. They laugh at your jokes more. And the truth is that the longer you're together, it's almost like what I've seen in our relationship, especially lately with the quarantine. I think we've both been a little bit on edge. And I feel like what I see is that it's almost like you know each other so much that can get on your nerves. It's like I can walk in the room and I know when she's having a problem. She ain't say nothing. I just know it. I know that she don't like the volume of this. I know that she didn't like that I didn't wipe my feet when I came in the door. I know that she didn't like how I smoked up the kitchen with bacon. She don't even have to say anything. It's because we've been together so long. Here's the key. Sometimes the devil can make that be the bad thing, but that's a great thing. You know, it's a bad thing. Almost like, oh my God, I can't breathe, I can't move, I can't do this. But it's actually the product of being together so much to where now you almost think a lot the same, you know? And so I guess what I'm saying is that no matter how you feel, you still have to choose. Oh no, it's all about perspective. It's all about, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, it's about perspective. And I think too is
we don't have too much more time.
It's always treating each other with respect and honor and not getting tired of one another.
Yeah.
I think, you know, I like to run my house in my marriage, and I think we're on the same page of this like a kingdom. I'm like a kingdom person. We were having a conversation the other day. We just love kingdom. Like I am a kingdom kind of woman. Yeah. Like I like to run my house like we serve the Lord. That's what we do. Yeah. As for me and my house, we gonna serve the Lord. And so my house is my property. My property is kingdom property. I'm a kingdom wife. This is a kingdom husband, and like I see him as my king, and I am the queen on this property, and my children are here, heirs to the promises. And so as a queen, I take honor in my king. And I do the best that I can to, like, if my king looks bad, then I look bad. I'm not going to go talking to my mom and my friends and all these things about my king and run bad thoughts all day long about my king, because that would make me look bad. Because if he's wrong, then I'm wrong too. I just want to do everything I can to lift him up. To, like, the Bible says that the wife is a crown to the husband's head. Like, I want his crown to shine.
Make me shine.
I want him to be happy all the days of his life. And I consider
I like that one scripture that says that I can rejoice in her breast should satisfy me at all times. That's what it says. The Bible says that you can rejoice in the wife of your youth, and her breast shall satisfy you. Come on, you know the Bible is great. It's great.
You made me forget what I was going to say.
I'm so sorry, but I'm the king. I'll get you right back on that.
Yes.
And I'm not going to let you lay this down. When we get off here, we're going to talk about how.
No, it's true though. And so I look at myself as someone who loves God. You said a little bit you always say to love God more than you love your spouse.
Yeah.
Well, because I love God, I know that God loves his son. Yeah. And I know the promises that God has for him, that he should live a long life, that he'll be satisfied with the wife of his youth. Like, I know the promises for him, and I am his promise. I am a part of his good life and being a good wife and a good mother. So I just want to uphold my part. I want to stand before Jesus and be like, yes, I did everything I could to serve my king in the earth, to serve Ken Clater, to be his wife. I always tell him this might be too much, but I always tell him, listen, if we don't die, hey, whatever. You know, you got to put your faith somewhere. I was like, if we don't die together at the same time, I'm going to outlive him, because I promise to serve him all the days of his life. I am going to be his helpmeet. I will be there till the day he dies.
This girl and send it back to her.
So baby, go ahead and live to 120, because I'll be 121.
Come on. I'm going to remind you of what you telling these people. Oh man, very quickly, the 20-year marriage, divorce cannot be an option. You got to throw that word out. I love it that the Geiswites cut the word divorce out of the dictionary when I married them 13 years ago, I believe. Divorce can't be an option. And if you're always threatening, well, I'm leaving, I'm not coming back, you got to stop it. You got to grow up, and you got to start to learn to deal with the problems that are in your marriage. Get professional counseling if needed. Humble yourself, but quit threatening to leave. Quit threatening that you're going to have somebody else. Quit that. Get rid of your little secret cell phone. Get rid of your little browsing other people's Instagram pages, looking at stuff. The word of the Lord for a man is this: you need to close the window. Come on, somebody shout at me. You need to close the window. You say, what do you mean? David, he was at the window looking at a woman take a shower named Bathsheba that was not his wife, when he should have been out taking care of the Lord's business. Judgment came upon the house of Israel and the family of David because he did not close the window. And right now we have a modern day window called Instagram, a modern day window called TikTok, a modern day window. And as a man, God has created you a visual being, meaning that what you see influences who you are. And as a wife, you need to know that a man is being hit with millions of images. Back in the day, we used to talk about this in marriage, about the billboards and the magazines. But now you can get pornography on your phone like this. It is being shoved down. Even if you're not following people, you are being sponsored. Images are being pushed down your throat. And you have to put parameters and guards around your eyes, because what you see is going to affect this. You have to close the window. Now, that's not just for a man. That's for a man and a woman. You have to begin to make who you're married to and with the most beautifulest thing in this world. You're saying, what if they're not? They're not going to be. They're not going to be. When you're 40, you're not going to be. When you're 50, when you're 60 years old, she's not going to be the most beautiful thing, but she needs to be that to you, because that is your good thing. That is your representative. And so close the window. You need to know that. Divorce is not an option.
That's so good.
Continually to invest in your relationship. Listen to stuff like this. Here's a word. I mean, really? You want to know how we remain spiritually sharp? Ooh, we're going to get to questions. I realized this over the quarantine. The reason that I'm spiritually sharp is because I got to teach y'all every Sunday. It didn't dawn on me until I'm watching the Love Revival and I'm not teaching as much that I felt myself just chilling, Netflixing and just hanging out, that I don't feel as sharp. This past week I've had some health challenges and things. First couple of weeks I was doing good. But this last week, it dawned on me that the fact that I have to teach you guys every week is a place of accountability that makes me prepare for you.
Yeah.
And that's the way the kingdom functions. Some of you all, you say that you're not growing spiritually and you blame it on your pastor and your church, but your growth is your responsibility. I love what Sean Nepstead said. He says, when babies don't eat, they cry, but grown folks get up and fix themselves a sandwich.
Come on.
And quit expecting your mentor and your pastor to go feed you all the time when you can feed yourself and grow yourself. And there's just something that's so powerful about, I don't know.
That's so good.
Yeah. What was I saying?
You were talking about, just feeding yourself in your marriage is what is what I was thinking.
Well, yeah, I thought thinking about sandwiches. It threw me off. But here's the thing. You got to invest in your marriage again and again and again.
Yeah.
One of the ways you can do is lead a small group about marriage. So what I was saying is that I have to be accountable every single week to give you the word.
That's right.
If you have troubles in your marriage or you want to sharpen your marriage, lead a marriage small group. Because every week you'll have 10, 12 people coming over your house, feed me, feed me, feed me, and it will make you be on your A game. That's how the kingdom works. Yep. God gives you something because you're going to give it away. That's a word for somebody today.
That's so good.
But my last one for this one, and I want to jump into some quick questions, is that you need a model. You want a 20-year marriage? You need somebody that's been married 25, 30, 40 years, 20 years. And you need to have the conversations about the ebbs and the flows of this thing we do called marriage. And you need somebody that can say, oh yeah, I know I've been frustrated before. Yup, I've been tempted there before. Yup, that's happened in our marriage before. This is what we did. And there's not enough real conversations between disciples for us to be equipped. You need a model. And so we're going to go through some questions. Some of them have already come in. And I'm going to go through these as fast as I can because we only have a few minutes left. Have you guys enjoyed this tonight? Please let me know if you have. And if you have questions, please put them right now in the comments. And
that's good.
We'll do the best we can. How do you handle crisis in your life that takes so much attention and you can't focus on your relationship, like the loss of a child or a chronic illness? I think you need professional counseling.
Absolutely.
So I am a fan of professional counseling. I go to see a professional counselor. And I think that some of you all, you need to pay and go to someone. Hopefully they're a Christian marriage counselor. Because when you go through, if you're battling addiction, depression, if you have a spouse that is continually unfaithful, something broken in there. There's a little boy in him, there's a little girl in him that's broken, and you need somebody to go in that's been trained in psychology and psychiatry and pull out the greatness that's on the inside of them. But I know that's a hard thing.
Yeah.
She was battling rheumatoid
arthritis.
Yeah, all these things in her health. And it was affecting our relationship, but this is what I did. I said, it's my time to step up because it's sickness and health till death do us part. And I began to take over with some of her responsibilities. And like when you got a spouse that's going through something chronic, you got to give your life away. This is the epitome of putting yourself on the cross, but you're doing it by faith, believing that they're going to get better one day. And that's a tough season.
Yeah.
You need to walk through that with other people. That's not easy. Make no mistake about it.
And I think both sides. And, sometimes it could be like just one person having the problem. Say if one of the spouse cheats or one of the spouse gets sick. It's both. I think both people need to seek counseling.
Yeah.
Both people need someone to talk to.
Yeah. This one says, why do people cheat? I'm not sure why, but I will say one reason why is that you let someone touch you emotionally. The Bible said it's not good to touch a woman. It's not really talking about this. It's talking about touching her emotionally. And sometimes what happens is that if you're not getting a need met from your spouse, you allow someone else to touch you emotionally. You're beautiful. And maybe you hadn't heard that. and then you begin to build a relationship that's perverted, but it seems like it's a better thing because you've allowed yourself to be emotionally touched by someone that's not your spouse. Now, I always say I haven't flirted with another woman in 19 years. The amount of discipline that takes, it means that I'm looking at everybody as my daughter or my sister in Christ to the best of my ability, and then I'm making sure not to step over particular lines. But that takes a lot of discipline, but it's the commitment not to try to touch someone emotionally. Knowing what you know now, what would you do differently than when you were in the dating season? Well, our dating season was jacked because we didn't know the Lord.
That's right.
And so we are not the example there. We can just help other people because we've pastored people that's made a bunch of mistakes. But so we would probably do everything differently.
Yeah, everything. I mean, first of all, starting with our relationship with God, you know.
What's the best way to adjust your marriage after having kids? You need a whole 5-hour segment on this alone. Kids add an element to your relationship that needs help.
One step at a time.
Yeah.
And teamwork.
Yeah. I wonder, like, how do you keep the romance, though, with kids? Kids are so demanding.
It looks differently. It's not like you might not have the candles burning and you don't have all the quiet time. It might be, look, the kids are down for a nap and I got 10 minutes. Let's make this happen.
We'll take that.
It all changes. You just have to change it, and it'll only for a little while. Seasons are going to change and they're going to leave, and you can have the candles out again. But hey, let's make it work for now.
Yeah. But I like it. It's communication.
Yes.
It's communication. Always talk about the division of labor again and again and again. You never want the husband doing too much, the wife doing too much. Now, you'll have different skill and different thresholds of how much you can handle, but it needs to be a consistent thing. So some guys have where the wife do everything, the cooking, the cleaning, take care of the kids, everything. And that's cool if that works well in your house, but it needs to be a consistent conversation so that you don't burn each other out. And it's like, hey, sometimes I'll do the bills, sometimes she'll do them. Sometimes I see that she's cooking all the time. I say, well, can I come in and cook breakfast? So right now I'm cooking breakfast, and it's the same thing, but it is what it is for this season. It's communication, all right? And I think that's all we got for you guys tonight. It really is. I mean, I know we could go on and on with this. Have you guys enjoyed tonight? Hopefully we've shed some light on some things. You're talking about 20 years in like 50 minutes, so you know that we're actually working on a YouTube channel called Ken and Tabitha, where we will dive deep into family and marriage as much as we possibly can. I have been saying that for a while, but it is really in the works now, and hopefully we'll be able to present that over the next few months, okay? Hey, we love you guys so very much.
Yes.
Do you know what our wedding song was? Do y'all know what it was? Would you show them, baby, what it was?
Would I show them?
Yeah, it's on your finger, girl. She don't even know. She went and got a tat.
Can y'all see that?
You can see it because of that. But
it's kind of like flipped. It says "All My Life." That's our wedding song.
And here's the thing, 1999 classic. And there's just a commitment that you have to make to start your song off with a violin, this amazingly slow. But it's all your life. That's what marriage is. It is a commitment through the hell, the high water, the ups and the downs, the poverty and the wealth, the sickness and the health, till death does us part.